Hello, and welcome to Shooting the Shit with Vicki. It's Monday. Boy, there's a big space here. It's Monday, December 15th, 10 days before Christmas. And it's not feeling very Christmassy today. I'm trying to get it so that the lights aren't shining in your eyes, but I don't know. I don't know if I can stop it. It's a somber day. It's a very somber day. And I didn't feel like getting in the shower and putting on makeup and getting on camera. But you're my people, and I felt like we should talk and maybe try to process. Wow, I'm having a weird hair day, aren't I? Try to process our way through this together as we do everything, as we have for so long since COVID. I feel like that angle is weird, huh? Wow, I'm having wicked weird hair. And I don't have my tools to, I don't have my bottle of spray to fix it. Woo! Wicked weird hair. All right, well, what am I gonna do? I thought I had it pretty good. And this is like such a stupid and superficial thing to be concerned about today, isn't it? Yes, it always is, but you know, I'm looking right at myself here because I can't see you guys. So I'll look at your comments. Hi, Valerie. There's a lot to say, and I'm not even sure where to start. I'm feeling really emotional, as I'm sure most of you are as well. This feels really personal, and even though it's not really, but it is, because Rob was a part of all of our lives, for all of our lives, right? I mean, I remember first seeing All in the Family when I was, I think, a freshman in high school, and 1970-ish. I didn't look it up to see what year it really was. Hi, Jim. No, that's not Jim. That's Joni. Hi, Joni. Hi. Yeah, it's been a really rough weekend, and it's not my loss, Amy. Thank you. It's all of our loss. It's a community. It's a it's a societal loss. I'll talk about my experience with Rob in a couple minutes. I just wanted to, which was minimal, although I did have a very real and wonderful relationship with his dad, with Carl. I don't know what to do about this. Yeah, I've been just kind of, I haven't been numb. My feelings are all over the place, but I've been paralyzed. I've been sitting on this couch pretty much all day, and I didn't get anything done. Well, I did get a few things done, but not a lot. It took me a long time to post the daily. It took me a long time to respond to calls and emails. I watched the news a lot. I really didn't make outreach calls today. I kind of just was in it myself, in my own feelings. I had a really terrible night's sleep, and I'm sure that was true for many of us. I think I slept 3.5 hours last night, and just woke up, and my first thought was, please say it wasn't real. And because this is more than just, not just, this is more than Rob and Michelle Reiner. This is patricide. This is matricide. This is addiction. This is violence, all on the heels of Brown University and Australia, and Jews being slaughtered on there the first day of Hanukkah. Here, the eve of Hanukkah, as we lit our first candle, as I lit the first candle with my kids last night on FaceTime, we were just finding out that Rob and Michelle had been murdered. And I was privy to inside information last night that I knew right away that, yes, it was them. At first, it was disclosed that a 78-year-old man and a 68-year-old woman had died, were dead in the house that they owned, a house that they owned. Then it became their house. Then it became Rob and Michelle. Then it became, but because someone I know has a son who works with Mel, I knew right away that it was murder, and that it was the son, and that it was Nick, and that Romy, the daughter, had found them, and all of this stuff way before they were talking about it there, although it was getting leaked on some press things yesterday. And how do we process information like this? What do we do with this? What is his family? What do his children do with this? I thank God that Carl wasn't here to live through this, but Mel, 99 years old, on Dick Van Dyke's birthday. For those of you who might not know, Carl Reiner created the Dick Van Dyke Show. It was Dick Van Dyke's 100th birthday yesterday, this day that Rob was murdered. And my friend's son went to tell Mel, and I guess another producer had already been there and told him. And I heard today from her that Billy Crystal, after going, I heard on the news that Billy Crystal and Larry David went to the Reiner home last night after hearing, but then I know Billy ended up going to Mel's house, and I believe he spent the night there with Mel. And I only met Rob once, and it was not that long ago. It was at George Shapiro's memorial. George Shapiro was the producer of Seinfeld, and he was Jerry's manager all of those years, and he was Carl's nephew. And Rob's, what would he be to Rob? He was Carl's nephew. I guess he was Rob's first cousin. I'm not really sure. Thank God he's not here for this. But Mel is. And Carl and Mel, as we all know, were the very, very best of friends. And I'm trying to see your comments. Hi, Peter. Hi, Amy. Liz. Peter. Marge. Yes, I know. There are no words, but I'm finding them. Hi, Patty. Yes, we're gutted. Yes, All in the Family was where it started. Thank you, Kristen. Hi, Pia. Yes, I'm sure they were on all of our minds last night. Hi, Jan. Betsy. I'm trying to see who. Hi, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew. Gina. Hi, Gina. Yeah, it's horrible, Liz. It's been a horrific weekend, and actually, it's been a pretty horrific month for me. Not to make it about me. What a pretty. Oh, thank you, honey. It's been a rough time for a lot of us. Hi, Sandy. I'll talk about my thing after. Hi, Lois. Yes, it's just abominable. Lots of comments. Sorry, just catching up. Hi, David. Hi, Laura. You were confused between leaked news and with the LIP. Yeah, they were holding things back last night. Hi, Tova. And rightfully so until they had it right. Hi, Jeff. Yes, I'm praying for them as well and for their family. Where was I? So Mel and Carl, best of friends for, I don't know, 70 years, some crazy thing. And with Dick Van Dyke and with Georgie Shapiro. And I'm sure Mel was very much a second father to Rob and a mentor, certainly. And my connection to the family is that Carl was a friend first. I met him through Phil Rosenthal at Phil's Pizza and Movie Nights. And the very first time I met Carl, he told me that the funniest person that he'd ever met in his life was Rob's best friend, who had come over when he was just a wee teenager and had done this trick for him. And I think it was with a spoon. And Carl proceeded to do the trick for me. He told me that this friend of Rob's was behind the drapes and did this whole show for him. And he acted it out. Carl acted it out. Hi, Snuffy. And it turned out he was talking about Albert Brooks. Albert Brooks was Rob's best friend when they were kids. And he was Albert Einstein. That's his real name. And Carl thought, what a compliment to Albert. I did get to tell that to Albert. And he knew it because I believe Carl told that story on the Johnny Carson show and acted it out there or something years before he told me. But he told it to me personally and did the trick for me that Albert had done for him, which was a non-trick, which was what made it so funny. And we became fast friends. And Carl was writing his first book at the time, well, his first memoir. And he ended up coming to my home in Montrose to Women Who Write and reading from that book when it was still just on paper. He had pages, and he printed out pages for all of the 50 women. There were 60 of us that day. It was the biggest Women Who Write to date. It was back in 2013, I want to say, 2012, something like that. It was the only time I did a solo show. He didn't want an opening act. I always had music, then a writer, then a celebrity. Carl wanted it just to be his day. For Carl, you do it. It was the first time we didn't just pass a basket. I actually charged and decided that my event that I worked all month for was worth charging for. And because of Carl, I charged admission to my home, which I then did every month thereafter. And it was thanks to Carl that I was able to scrape together a little living to take care of my children. I was a single mom. And Carl did that for me. And Carl and Larry O'Flahaven published my book, Don't Jump. And I spent quite a lot of time at Carl's home working on that with Larry. And Carl, my prologue to my book was quite unconventional. And Larry said he wasn't going to publish it. And Carl loved it and said, yes, we are. And they did, just as was. And I did the audiobook for my book in Carl's pool house. And I would come in after the long, long days. We did it very quickly. and Larry and I worked, I don't know, 12-hour days or something, and I would come into the house before I'd leave at the end of the night, and Carl and Mel would be sitting watching TV on TV stands, eating dinner, and lustfully talking about whatever they were watching. And Mel quizzed me. I made potato pancakes, potato latkes. It was Passover time, and I made potato latkes for Carl, and he shared them with Mel, and Mel was like, why is she making potato latkes? And he didn't trust me, and he started to quiz me about his son, and I really didn't know anything about Mel's son, and I was kind of embarrassed, and then he filled me in, and he was kind of hard on me, but I had also met him backstage in the green room. I'm telling this whole blabbing story that has nothing to do with Rob, but I'll get to it. I had gone to they were celebrating Sid Caesar, and Joseph Bologna and Renee Taylor were there, who I worship them, and I got to tell Joseph Bologna that My Favorite Year was my favorite movie, and I think it was before Richard Benjamin, who directed it, came to my living room. It was certainly before I met Lainie Kazan, who came to my living room, and I to her to come. Well, anyway, that's another story. But they were doing this tribute to Sid Caesar, and Mel Brooks was there, and Carl Reiner was there. Rob was not there, but Billy Crystal was there, and it was the first time I saw Billy Crystal with Ray Newman once at a restaurant in Hollywood, and I got to show him the picture of him and I from Saturday Night Live, because I was in the first time he did Buddy Young Jr. on Saturday Night Live, and I was just an extra, and Billy upgraded me and gave me this part, which they ended up cutting, but he was lovely to me, and I got to, it's a kind of a picture that I had sent him, and anyway, it's this whole big thing. And anyway, so Billy was there with his wife. I had never met her before, and Carl and Mel were there, and it was the first time I was meeting Mel, and I got to tell Mel that I was at the final preview for The Producers on Broadway, and that it was the funniest night of theater I'd ever had, which it's true to this day. Oh Mary with Cola Scola comes in second, but The Producers holds as the funniest night in the theater. And Mel pinched my cheeks and was very sweet with me that night, and I got to take a picture with Billy, current picture, so I have my old picture head to head, and then that picture, and I think we get, Rufus, come here. You want to come here? Rufus! I didn't realize Rufus was listening this whole time. I would have had him over here. Rufus! Anyway, I'm telling you way too much about me. I'm kind of like the idiot who talked only about himself today. But I'm trying to give you background of my history with the family and connected family. Carrie Elways also did my living room, thanks to Cindy. And a bunch of people associated with Rob. Penny Marshall didn't do my living room, but was going to, and then she got sick. Cindy Williams did, and Anson and Donnie, and a lot of people associated with Rob through various different channels. But anyway, Carl was a big part of my life, and Random Content Publishing, Don't Jump, was huge for me, even though they didn't know what they was doing as publishers. I was the only outside work, and it was only on Amazon. Anyway, it was kind of a clusterfuck, but for that one brief shining moment, it was #1 on Amazon for a while, and more importantly were the experiences that I got to share with Carl, and the time that I got to spend with him in his study, and he would tell me stories about his children and his grandchildren, and I'm sure he told me stories about Nick that I don't remember. And anyway, I love Carl very much, and he was a very, very sweet and wonderful man. And I've watched a lot of videos of him and Rob in the last 12, 15 hours, and I'd seen videos before, but they meant something different now. And right before I met Snuffy, I dated a man for just a couple of dates, who was a producer on Being Charlie. And I watched it then and didn't think a lot of it. It was quite a flop, actually, Being Charlie, which was the movie that Rob made with his son Nick, based on Nick's addiction and their troubled relationship. And Carrie always played the father. And there was a very charismatic, young, attractive young man playing. I don't remember his name was Nick something, and he played Nick Reiner. And there is, I encourage you to watch it, because it was very interesting to see their relationship was tumultuous, and it was, Nick was violent, and there's homelessness and addiction, and he was a heroin addict. We've all been hearing about him today. Thank you. I don't know what you guys are saying. I'm trying to go back to see. But anyway, I'll just continue. So last night, Snuffy and I watched about Charlie, Being Charlie, rather, again, I was hoping to get some sort of understanding about their relationship, because I didn't remember the movie very much from seeing it, I don't know, 8 years ago. And I don't think the real Nick Reiner is nearly as intelligent, charming, charismatic as the actor who played him. From what I have seen of Nick on TV and the couple of little sound bites, I don't know if he's just very uncomfortable in front of the camera, or if there is marred, I don't know. Clearly an addict and a mentally ill. Who does this, no matter? And then we all, I'm sure, all heard today that they were at Conan O'Brien's on Saturday night, and Rob and Nick, I guess, had a very loud argument. At first they were saying that it was both parents and Nick, but it seems to have corrected that now it was Rob and Nick that were having a very loud argument at Conan O'Brien's on Saturday night. I can't imagine the anger that Nick had to feel to do what he did. Reported he resented his father for his success and was angry at himself for not living up to being talented. Yes, I read something about that as well. Hi, Pam. We don't know. This is all supposition from what I can gather. Until Nick is interviewed and he speaks with his own words, I don't know that he ever will, but if he does, that's the only time I imagine we'll really get the story of what he was feeling and what drove that anger. I can't imagine, I cannot fathom what one would feel. A knife is a very personal, very intimate connection. Yes, Nick was on the streets. He was homeless quite a lot. The movie talks about that. He was a heroin addict. I don't know if he was sober now. I know he was in and out of the rooms and in and out of homelessness, in and out of rehab, and violent. The movie even depicts him having violent episodes. And yes, the daughter is, it's heartbreaking that Romy found her parents, and that all those kids, Tracy Reiner is a Facebook friend, and I'm a fan of hers. She was great in A League of Their Own, and she's been lovely on whatever I've seen of her social media over the years. And then there's Jake, who looks lovely. I don't know. But, stabbing, and from what I read, it wasn't stabbing. And this is total hearsay, and I shouldn't even repeat it, so I won't. But from what I heard, it wasn't a stabbing exactly. Knives were involved. A knife was involved, but it was even worse. And if that's even possible, and Snuffy and I just finished watching Murdaugh, a family murder. I don't know, Murdaugh. The thing that's streaming now about the true story about the guy who killed his wife and son, and he was like a cold-blooded, methodical, lunatic, narcissist, selfish, crazy motherfucker. I don't think Nick and he had a lot in common, other than there has to be mental illness to murder, right? No, I don't know. Crimes of passion, I don't know. I can't imagine how angry one would have to be to murder your parents. It's unfathomable. It's unfathomable. And certainly what I know secondhand, I don't know. I didn't know Rob. I didn't know Michelle at all. Okay, so I met Rob one time. It was at the, I had a lot of near misses with Rob, actually. There were many times when I was over at Carl's house, and Rob had just left, or Rob was coming over, and I was always kind of sad that I didn't connect with him and meet him. And of course, I would have invited him to read in my living room, and he would have said no, but I would have done it anyway. At George Shapiro's memorial, I had gone to the restroom. Snuffy had too. And when I came out, Snuffy was waiting for me, and there was Norman Lear, who had just wheeled out. And Norman did my living room. Norman and I were friends thanks to Phil Rosenthal's pizza movie night, even though the first time I met him was with Greg Cope White of now Boots fame. But I socialized with Norman quite a bit. He did my Game Changers. He did my living room, Women Who Write. And I hadn't seen Norman in a few years because of the pandemic. I used to see him at Phil's pizza movie night, and I hadn't seen him in a while. And he was in a wheelchair, and he was probably 98 at the time. I don't know. And it was the last time I got to see Norman, but I got to give him a kiss and connect with him again. And then as I was standing up, I turned around, and there was Rob Reiner. And I babbled some fan stuff about, oh, your dad published my book, and blah, 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 blah. Made no sense, I'm sure. And he kind of gave me like that, like he wasn't particularly thrilled to meet me. And it didn't like rock his world or anything. And I didn't think to tell him that I was in Billy's first Saturday Night Live, Mr. Saturday Night sketch of Buddy Young Jr., which maybe would have brought a smile to his face. I don't know. I didn't think of it at the time. But we didn't really have a moment. He wasn't really happy to meet me. And I felt really stupid fanning on him and kind of like skulked away, whatever that word is, away. And that was my only personal encounter with him. But like all of us, I cherished his talent and will always. And I am a sock and a shoe person. I just watched that sketch again today, him and Archie, and it made me laugh again. It makes me laugh every time. Meathead was putting on a sock and a shoe, and Archie was like, what are you doing? You know, if there's a fire and you have to run out, you're going to be there. One foot's going to be naked. And, you know, and Meathead was explaining, well, I like to take care of one at a time. And I don't know, I'm a sock and a shoe person, not a sock and a sock and a shoe and a shoe. I'm a sock and a shoe and a sock and a shoe. And I always related to that. It always made me laugh. And then Gabe also sent me the last time that Meathead and Archie were doing a scene together. It was when they were saying goodbye when Sally Struthers and his character were moving to Gloria. They were moving away and taking Joey the baby, and they weren't going to be living with Archie and Edith anymore. And Rob was telling Carol O'Connor, well, Meathead was telling, I can't think of his character's name, Michael Stivic, was that his name? Gloria and Mike, right? And he was telling Archie how they'd had some fun and they'd had some good times, and that he was going to miss him, and he was like a father to him. And Archie couldn't get emotional with him. He just couldn't do it. And it was really moving. It made me cry. And so that's how we were introduced to Rob Reiner, right? I was. And his movies, Spinal Tap. Are you kidding me or what? One of the funniest things ever in the history of the world. And it set this whole genre of mockumentary that Rob kind of invented with Michael McKean and Christopher Guest and Harry Shearer. And speaking of which, Harry was supposed to be on the scene between Mike and Archie. Yeah, it was Mike, thank you. Edith cried in that episode, yeah. Where was I going? I was past All in the Family. Harry Shearer was going to be on Game Changers in 2 days, on Wednesday, but not as Harry Shearer. He was coming on as, hi, Joe. Yes, the stills of anything to do with Spinal Tap. Thinking of 11. Just the word 11 makes me laugh, and we all say it that way, don't we? When we say 11, you have to say it like that. But anyway, Harry was going to come on as Derek Smalls. Derek was coming on, not Harry. And I had already done the Manor with DJ and the composite with Tony, and everything was ready to go. And I was going to be interviewing Derek Smalls about his new album and why he has left Spinal Tap. And Snuffy and I happened to go see Spinal Tap 2 the day it came out. And there was something going on then too. And I had not laughed that hard in I don't know how long. If you have not seen Spinal Tap 2, I cannot recommend it highly enough. I was going to watch it again last night before this whole thing happened, so that I could talk wisely about it with Harry, because we saw it in September when it came out, with Derek rather. But anyway, I wrote to Harry last night and extended my condolences. And then this morning I wrote to him and said, might you want to postpone this? And he said, yeah, a week would be a good idea. And then it turned out next week is Christmas Eve, and the week after that is New Year's Eve, and I'm not doing shows on those days. So I said, well, how about in the new year? And I realized I don't have a slot until February, and I know Harry's promoting that. Derek is promoting his new album, so I haven't heard back from. Then we saw Harry on CNN. He had been on CNN this morning, so I don't know when Derek will be with us. I thought about making a special show next Tuesday to have Derek on before the new year, and then I thought, it's going to be too soon. It's going to be too soon for us not to talk about Rob, and for us not to talk Harry and Vicki rather than Derek and Vicki. And so it just doesn't seem appropriate to do that until after the new year. We all have had time to process and to heal. And certainly I cannot fathom the loss that Harry is feeling today. Hi, Susan. They go back. So when was the first Spinal Tap. It was 1982 or something, was it? I can't even remember now, but it was a long time ago. And they've been friends a long, long, long time. And just hearing Kevin Pollak, who also did Women Who Write, hearing him talk about A Few Good Men, and hearing Kevin Bacon speak so emotionally about that film and what Rob meant to him, and hearing Maria Shriver, who just had dinner with Rob and Michelle this last week, and just how beloved they both were. James Woods commented how Rob Reiner gave him his role in Mississippi Burning. He is the polar opposite of Rob politically, yes. Rob gave so many people their starts. Rob made so many people stars. His films, oh my God. I want to watch Stand By Me tonight. I've heard him in interviews today saying, I've heard the interviews a few times today of him saying that is the work that he is the most proud of, and that was the closest to his sensibilities, and that combined both Carl and his mother in the making of it, because it was not only, he had done, I saw Harry Connick's beautiful, he gave Harry Connick his start doing the music for When Harry Met Sally. He made Billy Crystal a movie star. And they, best of friends. And from what I understand, not my firsthand information, but we process this together, right? I can't get enough of what I'm seeing. I want more. Yes, we will keep his memory alive. There is no doubt. His movies, his work will keep his memory alive. I want to start watching old All in the Families. I want to watch Stand By Me. I want to watch the first Spinal Tap, the new Spinal Tap. I want to watch A Few Good Men. I just watched When Harry Met Sally not long ago. I'm going to watch it again. The Princess Bride. Oh my God, it just goes on. Misery. Wow, it just goes on and on. What a legacy he leaves. What a brilliant comedian and filmmaker and actor and producer and human. And, you know, the fact that Michelle and Rob were so politically active, so outspoken. He was brave and fearless and stood up to the idiot. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the idiot. I'm just going to say what he wrote today and what he said afterwards defending it. I have never beheld a narcissist that is more appalling, horrific. There is not a human, decent bone in his body anywhere. I have to think he's going to get his karma for what he has done to this country, to this world, to women, to, oh my God, he is just, he is an abomination. Thanks, Dawn. And yes, we do process together. We do. Yes, Mr. Lear brought Billy into All in the Family. Well, yeah, that's true. Anyway, I'm trying to read your comments as I'm doing this. What he wrote. I mean, even Republicans are appalled by that horrible, horrible post. And then he made it worse. He was asked about the post, and then he went on to say horrible things about Rob. Oh my gosh. I can't. I can't. Anyway, I'm hungry to know everything. I want to see Nick. I want to hear Nick speak. I want to hear him talk about what, how, why, what. I want to know the story. I want to understand. But I don't think there'll ever be a way to understand this. I want to throw my arms around those, I want to say children. They're not children, his children. What a thing they have to live with. And all of his friends, their friends. As I said, I didn't know Michelle. I've heard nothing but wonderful things about them. We've all heard today that Rob changed the ending to When Harry Met Sally because he fell in love with Michelle during the filming of it and wanted there to be a happy ending because he understood how happy endings could happen. So you're welcome, Gina. I don't know what else to do. I have been so paralyzed today. It feels so personal. And please don't extend your condolences to me for my loss. This is our loss. As I said, I didn't know Rob. I barely met him once. Yes, I knew his dad, but this is not about me, even though I made it about me for a while, telling you my story. But yes, I do too. Just horrific. I don't know. I don't know how she will ever close her eyes again. I don't know how she'll ever have peace again, but she will somehow, because life does go on. And no matter what horrific things we live through, hopefully she's going to process it with some very good people. I pray. The closest thing to this was when John Lennon was murdered. I don't know. I can't liken it to that. This was his son. That was a lunatic who wanted celebrity. And I don't know, maybe that's part of Nick's motive. Maybe he wanted some attention. I have no idea. I won't begin to guess, although I just did, but I'll stop there. No idea. There's been a lot of theories already. But it's just paralyzing. I saw an interview today that Rob did where he was talking about Medgar Evers and standing in the spot where he had been assassinated in front of his family, and how Rob stood there and cried. And I, in that moment, was trying to imagine what Rob's reaction would be if he was hearing about a situation like this, about somebody that he loved. He was a very empathetic human being. You have to be to do that kind of work, to do that kind of art. Sadly, they say 5 parents a week are murdered by their children, 300 a year. Is that so? Oh my God, that is just... I heard his wife's mom, yes, well, Holocaust survivor. I read that today too. Yes, this weekend. It does feel personal because we all loved him. We all grew up with him, right? I mean, Meathead, come on, All in the Family. How many years was that of our life? And then he put himself in his movies. He was in Spinal Tap, and When Harry Met Sally, he was, would make appearances and still did. He did a ton of films, actually. Penny Marshall and Rob on the Mike Douglas Show. I don't remember that, but boy, I would love to see that footage. And yes, it's a human connection. Their daughter knew right away. Yes, that's what I heard too, that she knew it was Nick. In real time, I was told that way before they announced it on TV, because of this inside person that I know. And it was said that from the moment she saw her parents, she knew it was Nick. I guess they were privy to his violence and his anger. And yes, mental illness, absolutely, mental illness. I'm just reading your comments. Thank you, Andrew. And then Brown, what happened at Brown and Australia. And that brave man that jumped one of the shooters and wrestled that rifle away from him. God knows how many lives he saved by doing that. What an incredibly heroic thing to do. And there's this beautiful, I just remember the role he played in First Wives, the surgeon in the First Wives Club. That man today who walked over to an Orthodox Jewish man and gave him a hug today. I saw it on the news. Jewish people mowed down with rifles for being Jewish on Hanukkah. Snuffy asked me today if I felt persecuted being a Jew. And personally, I don't, but I'm concerned for my daughter. She was on campus at USC on October 7th, and it was a scary place for her to be. And Jewish students were being targeted and harassed. And she was frightened. And I walked her home, talking to her on the phone. I walked her to her car so she could get off campus safely, or feel safe that I was with her. But it's certainly, Snuffy was saying how he doesn't think of me as being Jewish, particularly because I'm not religious at all, although I have my 2 menorahs behind me and the Christmas tree. I'm not going to turn the camera right now because God knows what will happen, but I've taken pictures. I still haven't been able to bring myself to decorate the tree. I was going to do it yesterday. We had a meeting and I didn't. I'm not going to blame the situation for that, but just everything that's been happening has been so much, and the world is getting crazier and scarier by the minute. And I think a lot of the chaos, even though it's elsewhere, has to do with the fact that we don't have a brave and fearless leader. We have a coward who's a horrible narcissist and who is trying to destroy everything that's been long fought to get here. Yesterday was really eyes and heart opener for me. I woke up to this crazy and went to sleep crying. Yeah, I know. It's, so I've been talking, I don't know how long I've been talking. I know I started really late, but I've been talking a lot, but I'm just going to end on sort of a personal note. So before all this crazy started on the weekend, you guys know it's been a sort of rough month for me. mammogram, biopsy, getting butchered during the biopsy, which, by the way, I my first news came on Tuesday night last week. I made the mistake of going online and looking at the report, and it said addendum to my benign report, and it said high risk, atypical lobular focular, whatever, the diagnosis hadn't changed, but I was now being called high risk as an addendum. And it took me like 20 hours to reach my doctor or something, and finally spoke to him, and he said, no, there's nothing new here. They're just doing that to scare you. Same plan, you're going to see a surgeon and just, have a plan, but that, this is something that's slow and not going to happen, and you have nothing to worry about, and you're going to be fine, blah, blah, blah. And I scrambled now that I was high risk, even though he said I really wasn't, to get an appointment with a surgeon, and one wasn't taking women unless they were actively ill. Another gave me an appointment for the middle of January, but she didn't take insurance, and she's sort of this Hollywood doctor that I had seen once actually some years ago, and I took an appointment with her for mid-January, but she has questionable, she's like, drink green tea and have a vegan diet, and meat causes cancer in women, and a little too woo-woo-y, I think, maybe. But I took the appointment, and but then I took my doctor's recommendation and called another surgeon, and I got an appointment. That was Wednesday morning, and I got an appointment for Friday morning. And in the meantime, on Thursday, I went to a dermatologist with Harry for his appointment, and I got an appointment, and I showed her as a secondary thing what was going on at my biopsy site, and she recoiled and was like, oh my God, that's infected. And she gave me 3 prescriptions, a prescription cream for the infection, and then she gave me antibiotics and said, if this doesn't clear up in a week, start taking the antibiotics. And I was like, oh my God. And meanwhile, the thing had gotten just horrible. And this woman, and I decided I was going to lodge a formal complaint against this this radiologist who did my biopsy, and just was so horrible, and so disheveled, and couldn't see, and was a mess, and hurting me, and totally not sympathetic, and it was just horrible. I was really traumatized and didn't sleep for like a week. And I saw the surgeon the next day, and he said, yes, that's infected. Don't take the antibiotic. Just use the cream, because an antibiotic can create a whole nother problem. But he said, the first thing he said to me was, I've reviewed everything, and the good news is you're going to be fine. And I knew there was a but coming. And he said, but we want to get out those atypical cells. He said, if cancer is here, you're over here. And it was like 2 feet. He said, but we don't want to wait, or we don't know what's going to be what, when, and we don't want to risk that. And I said, you mean I have to have surgery? He was like, yeah. And he said, but there's no rush. And he said, we have to wait for that to clear up, that thing anyway. But there's no rush, 4 to 6 weeks. And I was like, 4 to 6 weeks? That sounds like a rush to me. And I was terrified, and I was going to push it back to the 6 weeks. And then when I left, I realized, no, I'd rather get it done sooner rather than later. And it's this horrible thing, because I have to have another mammogram process. Like, I had the mammogram, then I had the diagnostic mammogram, then I had the stethoscopic mammogram when they did the biopsy so they could find the spot. Now they have to do that and put in he said, a very skinny wire, he called it. He said, it's not going to be a needle like the other thing that was taking stuff out and had to be big. He said, this will be very small, but so we can locate it, and then we'll wheel you into surgery. And he said that he would get rid of this mess that she made on me, and he would take it away. He would cut it away because it would probably scar. And he said he would leave just a hairline that would clear to nothing. He said I could probably do it in the fold. You'll never see it, but he can't now because he's going to get rid of what that I don't have a lump. There's no lumpectomy. It's cells. They're just going after cells. So it's literally just microscopic things they'll be taking. Can they do an MRI mammogram? No, they have to do the thing. And please don't ask me questions, everybody. It really makes me crazy when people are like, well, where are you going and who are you going to and when are you doing it and why don't you do this? And I would really prefer not to have any medical advice from anybody. I have a surgeon that I really, really felt safe with. And for the first time through this ordeal that started November 11th, I think, November 5th, for the first time since this started, I feel safe. And he said he likened it, he was very smart, he likened it to a colonoscopy. He said, you know, when you go for a colonoscopy and they take out polyps, it's to prevent you from getting anything. And that's what this is. We take out the atypical cells to prevent you from getting anything. And that made sense to me. It's still benign. Come, Rufus, come here. Rufus, everybody wants to see you. Come here, my boy. No, Rufus, come. Oh, boy. Okay, Rufus is here. Rufus, where are you? They can't really see you. There you are. There's Rufus. There he is. Okay, we'll go over here and see Rufus over here. And Rufus is another concern right now. We're taking Rufus to the vet tomorrow because Rue, ever since his biopsy, he hasn't been the same. And he limps, and we took him for a walk yesterday for 3 miles, and then he limps when we get home. And excuse me, he hasn't had his joie de vivre. And it's been 3 months or so, and he hasn't been the same. So we're taking Rue tomorrow to a new vet who hopefully will give us some answers on how we can get Rue happy and vital and feeling good again, because we don't like seeing Rue. He just kind of is not lethargic, but he's just kind of not our happy boy. Rufus, you want to say hi to everybody? You want to say hi to everybody? Huh? My boy? Come here. Want to say hi to everybody? Huh? Do you? What do you think, huh? Yeah, Rufus been having a rough time. We've had a rough time in this house for a while. Between Snuffy's surgeries last winter and spring, and Rufus going through his, and me going through mine, and all the shit that's going on in the world. Oh my God. So anyway, I am confident that I am going to be fine. And I'm confident that Rufus is going to be fine. And Snuffy's doing good. And hopefully as a community, we can heal from these things, all of these things, and hopefully the world can heal. I can't imagine we have so much time with that idiot still in office. I don't know what, yes, it's gonna get better. I'm giving Rufus some love here while we talk. But in any case, sorry, I guess that's enough out of me. I am loving all of you. I will not see you on Wednesday. Harry Shearer, Derek Smalls will be with us when he's ready to do that. And when I have my first opening was February 4th, so I'm guessing if that works for him. I know it's not ideal. He wanted to promote his new album, so we'll figure it out. I'm not reading the comments right now because I'm here with Rue, but what are we watching? We're watching The Killing still, where we just finished season 2. I finished season 2. Snuffy has to catch up. Wow, I can't recommend it highly enough. The Killing. It's streaming on, I don't know what it's streaming on, but it's really, it's wonderful. 4 seasons, and we've been really addicted to it and loving it. It's really dark. It's really good, except now murder. Wow. But tonight I want to watch Stand By Me and Spinal Tap, and want to go through Rob's library of movies and in the coming days, and we'll watch The Voice. I think today's the semifinals, right? Or the second, I don't know what it is. Who knows? I can't keep up with them. But I'm loving you guys. I will see you next Monday. We won't be doing Game Changers until the new year, but I'll be here on Mondays. And thank you for all the love, the support, the good wishes, the comments, all of that stuff. And please keep Rufus. Please keep us in your prayers and in your hearts and in your good thoughts. I appreciate you guys keeping us there. And I will see you guys next Monday. And of course, I will see you on the Facebook before then, because you know I can't stop posting. So I love you all. Happy Hanukkah, and get that Christmas shopping done. And I will see you all very soon. Lots of love. Thanks.